Hello, everyone, and I would like to welcome you again to this week's Friday Reflection. I hope all of you are doing well and the holiday season is treating you well. Before we get into our message for today, I just want to go over a couple of very important things with you. The first is the change of venue we're going to have in our online worship service starting this Sunday, December 13th. We are going to be moving to a live streaming worship where you can actually join in live with us as we worship in the sanctuary. So you can join us for live stream at 8:30 and 11:30 a.m. when we have our Sunday morning worship. And in this announcement are the directions and instructions and how you can do that. So please pay close attention to that. Now, if you're not able to do the worship at those times, don't worry, because the live stream will also be recorded to be able to be viewed later. It usually takes about 30 minutes or so after the live stream, and then it'll be available at the Trinity channel, Trinity YouTube page, to be viewed as a recorded service as well. So you can join us live or watch it at your convenience as a recording. So that's going to be starting this Sunday. So please make note of that and review the instructions on how you can be a part of that. Also, just a reminder, this Saturday is our Light Fest here at the church, the 12th, from 5 to 7 p.m. Right now, we've got quite a few vehicles. We're looking forward to a great event, but there's still time to sign up. If you want to sign up and be a part of that, it's not too late. Feel free to do so. And then also on Sundays, our congregational meeting to talk about our budget, to talk about some columbarium stuff, and also nominations for the leadership team. And that's Sunday at 4:30 via Zoom, and hopefully you all have received that information. If for some chance the Light Fest has to be canceled because of weather, our makeup date plan was to have it on Sunday from 5 to 7, just like it would have been Saturday, which means we will be moving the congregational meeting up till 3 o'clock. So again, please pay close attention to all of your emails and announcements, because we'll be keeping you updated on all of those things. Hopefully everything will be fine and it'll go just as we've had it planned, but if not, we will keep in touch with you about that as well. So again, lots of things coming up, lots of things happening this weekend. Just want to make sure you're involved. As I've said before, our theme for Advent is Let Your Light Shine, and we talk about the importance of light during this time of year. We are reminded how Christ is the light of the world, and then we who integrate that light into our lives then are called to be a reflection of that light. And as I said over these weeks of Advent, last week and this week and the following week, I want to talk about some of the ways that we can remember the importance of light even in our world today. Of course, back in Jesus' time, they didn't have all of the power and electricity we have now. And so light was very important. It was what gave them life. It was what gave them direction. It was what gave them warmth. It was a very, very important thing. And so we see how they would have made that connection with Christ as being the light of the world, because they would have saw Christ the same way, as life-giving, as giving direction, as giving warmth in their lives. And so we understand how that analogy became so important, because light was so important to them in their day and age. And last week we talked about how, as we look at light today, we can remember the warmth of God's love, how it's through God's love that we are embraced by God and given new life. And what I'd like to talk about today is how light gives us guidance in life. Because without light, it's really hard to see. That's a very literal and metaphorical way of looking at light. And of course, Christ being the light of the world is the one that gives us direction and help in our lives. I'm always reminded of an incident or an experience I had several years ago when I was single and I was living in a small apartment. And one day I decided I was going to change my bedroom around, so I moved the bed around and dressers and everything like that. And later that night, when it was dark, I had to go through the room to get something or do something, and I, forgot that I had moved things. And so, instead of turning the light on, because I felt like, I knew where I was going, I went through the room without the light on and ran right into my bed, flipped over the bed, and fell on the floor on the other side. And, as I sat there and sort of collected myself and laughed at the whole thing, these texts about light just kept coming into my mind. If I just would have turned the light on, I would have saved myself a lot of trouble and headaches. And that's true in our spiritual lives as well, our faith lives. If we just would turn the light on and integrate the Christ as the light of the world into our lives, it would save us so many troubles and tribulations and falls and having to get up again. And that is truly, one of the joys, that when we see light around us, we can be reminded of how Jesus is our light. He's our guide, the one that helps us navigate through life, helps us to be able to see, helps us to be able to grow, helps us to be able to know how to maneuver things, helps us to be able to manage our lives in a way that it is life-giving. It doesn't mean it's going to be simple. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean everything's going to go well. We're still going to fall and trip at times. But with Jesus being the light, helps us to be able to see our way, to find our way, just as literal light helps us to be able to find our way each and every day throughout our everyday lives. So again, when we see lights all around us this holiday season, another thing we can remember about those lights is how Christ gives us guidance and direction in our lives. And when we turn to that light, when we turn to the one who brings us life, it helps us to be able to navigate life a little bit better than trying to do it on our own. And just as light shows us our way throughout our lives, that's what Jesus comes to too. Through the Spirit, God comes to us to give us that guidance and direction that we need. Again, I hope the whole holiday time and holiday spirit is going well for you. I know this can be a tough time, especially this year with the pandemic. I'm well aware that usually depression rates in our country are highest this time of year because, we're all supposed to be happy and maybe, we're just not feeling happy. I know in some respects I don't have the same joy this year, with everything going on. But even with that, and even in the midst of that, and because of that, that's where it's important to remember the light of Christ. Because it's not about being happy and joyful and all those other things. It's about knowing that we are not alone. We don't go through these things alone. That amidst the darkness of our lives in the world today, the light still shines. God is still with us to bring us the warmth of God's love, but also to give us the guidance and the direction, the strength and the help that we need to navigate our lives. God's blessings be with you. God's light be with you. And hope to see you soon.